Learning stuff by punching crime in the face. I'm K-Wing, and this is Arkham Wednesday. Today is all about the Gotham crime boss, Rupert Thorne. If you know who this guy is, congrats, you just won the internet. Not really, though. While never officially appearing in the Arkham games, Rupert does make a GCPD bulletin board cameo in Arkham Origins. Kind of. Listed as one of the most infamous criminals in Gotham City, kinda like the infamous El Guapo, Anarchy also calls him out by name during a Enigma datapack convo between him and Commissioner Gordon. But did you know, outside of the animated series, Thorne was actually a pretty interesting Bronze Age Bat character? A corrupt city official, of course, but still a very interesting character nonetheless. He first appeared during the By Death's Eerie Light by Steve Englehart, some nerdy guy. Detective Comics 469 if you're wondering. This was part of Stevie's longer series called Batman Strange Apparitions, which is actually pretty cool. You should check it out. I have a link in the description about Amazon stuff. In the comic, Gotham's water supply is being poisoned, and Batman discovers the culprit to be none other than a glow-in-the-dark skeleton guy. You know, kinda like the main baddie from Batman Beyond. Anywho, Mr. Glow-in-the-Dark runs from Batman and visits a doctor named Bells something or another. He then reveals his origins. Why? I don't know, because villains love to monologue apparently. I mean, seriously, villains just love to do it. During his heart-to-heart with some random doctor, we learn that Skeletor Lightbright was created during a mishap with nuclear power. Yeah, meltdowns tend to do that to people. His creation involves some sand and phosphorus and other chemicals, and yeah. After looking at himself in the mirror, the good doctor chose the name Dr. Phosphorus because he thought people would laugh at his original name, Toxic Glowman. Bell, then having been spooked by Mr. Bones here, goes to see his boss, Rupert Thorne. You see how it's all connected? Okay, so Thorne pre-crisis was kind of like his BTAS counterpart. If you don't know what that is, it's an abbreviation for Batman, the animated series. Because BTAS is that cool that it can stand being shortened like that. Basically, he kind of lacked all the cool mob boss stuff of his BTAS counterpart, but he was kind of an interesting villain, except he was kind of a timid, fat man that liked to gorge himself and manipulate others into doing his dirty work. So, like most politicians today. Thorne was very vocal about having Batman removed from Gotham in the city council as well, because he didn't like Batman's vigilante, stuff. During his introduction too in this comic, Thorne met Hugo Strange, the man who discovered the Dark Knight's secret identity. Naturally being curious and wanting to see if Hugo was right, Rupert tortured him to death. Or did he? Eventually, Thorne is driven out of his office and partially insane by the ghost of Dr. Hugo Strange, because ghosts tend to do that to people. Still, before Rupert left in his sabbatical, yeah, that's it, he was still able to appoint one of his lackeys as the mayor of Gotham. And that lackey was Hamilton Hill, which is another character that later appeared in the animated series, or BTAS, yes. As the mayor of Gotham, Hill was most known for firing James Gordon as the police commissioner, something that every Batman writer wants to do these days and the past decade. That, of course, have Jim imprisoned. Poor Commissioner Gordon. Anyway, Thorne somehow convinced Gotham star reporter Vicky Vale to give him photographs proving Batman is in fact Bruce Wayne. During this scheme, he hires Deadshot to kill Batman, Wayne Bat, never mind. Deadshot, of course, gets owned by the Cape Crusader, and Thorne throws a hissy fit by ordering none other than lots of food, you guessed it. Not long after this incident, though, Strange appears alive and well, no longer a ghost. Actually, he, drugged Thorne to think he was seeing ghosts. But to be honest, this is I'm alive and not dead writing thing happens often in the comics. Mainly a character gets offed because that writer then has no idea how to develop said character further. So fresh blood comes in and boom, the character's revived. Something like that happened to Jason Todd a long time ago. I don't know when this happens actually in the comics. It could be 1982, could be 1983, 78, I don't know. But eventually Thorne is in a hyper state of fear and thinks Mayor Hamilton Hill and his appointed lackey as the commissioner of, Gotham are plotting his demise or something. So, like with Hugo Strange, Rupert kills his, in-place commissioner. And, well, Batman is, of course, like, no dice, dude, and tosses Thorne in Blackgate, where he stays for a long time. Or does he? Here's where it gets odd in the comics, though, folks. In December of 1982, issue 354, I think, give or take, I do remember the title was called Showdown of Batman or something. Thorne busts out of Blackgate and plans to ice the guys responsible for sending him up the river. Rupert guns down a few officials and then gets gunned down himself in the process. Watching the battle from a safe distance inside his limousine, Hugo Strange laughs and bids Thorne a good night, because, he died, supposedly. Fast forward to 1986, the New Earth timeline, or post-crisis. Thorne is actually mentioned a few times in this continuity, but he's been in Blackgate prison for a very long time. He still has some connection and responsibility for Dr. Lightbright, but he's never really broken out of prison. At least, that's what I remember. This Rupert Thorne tends to operate inside the prisons. Thorne later appears again in the 2007 comic The Return of Dr. Phosphorus. In the story, Batman must protect the aging crime boss, Rupert Thorne, from being killed by, Lightbright. After that, Thorne has never appeared again to my knowledge. But then again, I'm human, so I make mistakes. Except, of course, in the animated series, so we'll dive into that after this random commercial interruption. Why? Because I can. Rupert Thorne was a major crime boss in Batman the Animated Series, or BTAS, and made a big impact on Bruce Timm during his Bronze Age run in Batman DC books. He appeared in 7 episodes of the series and is somewhat responsible for creating Two-Face, whom instead of having his face splashed with acid by, Sal Maroni, half of Dent's face gets blown off when he's chasing after Thorne in his big bad Harv persona to get Harvey's psychological profile back, before it could, ruin his career as Gotham's dashing DA, not with that personality. Because of this incident, though, and the scarring that Harvey Dent suffers, Harvey and Big Bad Harv merge into one personality. So, yeah. They basically share a common hatred, though, for Rupert Thorne, who uses Harvey's fiancée, Grace, to track down Two-Face. I'm not gonna do that joke. Thorne was actually voiced by actor John Vernon, and in this universe, Rupert is the new blood of Gotham's mob scene, even though he's in his early 50s, so figure that one out. In the episode It's Never Too Late, he is trying to ice the Stromwell family so that he can control the Lower East Side of Gotham. Or was it West Side? Or North Side? You know what, it doesn't matter. He was trying to get a side, okay? He needed a side. With his side of salad, I made his fat joke. Batman stops Thorne from using a Tommy gun on the mob boss and his brother Michael Stormwell, whatever. Like his comic book counterpart, Rupert spends a good time in and out of Blackgate prison and sets up some things there so he can run his criminal underworld or overworld, whatever you want to go by. He also makes several cameo appearances in BTAS, being interrogated by the Batman and accused of different crimes throughout the series, which I thought was pretty cool, actually, because it gave more, time for the character to grow in the series, and it was nice to see Batman actually, interacting with characters other than his rogues, so that was pretty awesome for me. I also really liked Rupert's personality, and he kind of reminded me of Carmine Falcone. He had that cool edge to him, he wasn't a slim guy, but there I go again. Anyway, you may remember Carmine Falcone from Batman Begins, and also The Long Halloween, the comics where, we talked about the Holiday Murderer and all that stuff before. So if you don't remember that, that's your fault. I'm not going over old topics, but that's who Rupert Thorne is kind of like, Carmine Falcone. And you can kind of see the comparison there to a lot of stuff that happens in the animated series. During Batgirl's introduction in Shadow of the Bat, which is a great episode, love it, Rupert Thorne is finally arrested thanks to Gordon and his new sidekick, who doesn't matter, and I'm not saying his name because the character is worthless. The only really big thing that happens during this is Gordon gets arrested under pretense of accepting bribes from, who else? Rupert Thorne, which was taken from a Bronze Age Batman story. Thorne is not seen in most of this episode and the second half of the episode either, though he is mentioned continuously. Another reference to Thorne going to the big house is mentioned in The Man Who Killed Batman, which again, phenomenal episode of Batman the Animated Series. It's like one of my top 10 favorites. In this episode, we have a guy who offs the bat by accident, but everybody thinks Batman's dead because he's going along with it so he can find the guy in charge of the drug trade and take him down. Rupert Thorne basically comes out and says, I'm the guy running the drug trade in Gotham now, but I'm trying to lie low because Batman is like driving me batty and Gotham is at my heels, and it's not the same criminal empire that it was before Batman showed up and I went to prison because of Two-Face. He doesn't say all that, but you know where I'm going with this. He basically calls Sid the Squid a liar after hearing his fantastic tale from that week about hobnobbing with the Joker and all this crazy stuff that he should have been dead, within a minute. So Thorne is like, you know what? I'm gonna kill you because your story is just way out there, pal. But of course he's stopped by the Batman again, and everything just ends badly for Thorne. Besides being a thorn in the criminal underworld of Gotham, see what I did there? Bats is not a fan of him himself, since Rupert almost killed Bruce's surrogate mother, Leslie Tompkins, in Paging the Crime Doctor. Or is it Leslie Tompkins? Lisa, it's one of them. Thorne's brother Matthew in the episode was a respected doctor at one time and friends with Leslie and Thomas Wayne, but he lost his license due to connections to Gotham's crime families or something like that. Getting work only as the crime doctor, hence the name of the episode, Paging the Crime Doctor. It's a play on words, work with me. Patching up thugs and hoods is all the guy can do, which I feel bad for him, but at least it's a steady paycheck that's not really legal to begin with. So yeah, maybe Matthew doesn't like doing that. Anyway, Matt gets in an argument with Rupert, and it's such a heated argument that Rupert has a heart attack. And after Matthew saves his life, more or less, Matt informs his bro that he needs to perform surgery at an ER pronto. Thorne is like, no way, Jose, bro. I'm not going to the hospital because my enemies will, off me. So Rupert has this great idea, I'm going to kidnap somebody who used to work with you. And that person is Miss Tompkins, who will assist in the operation. But after learning that Rupert plans on having Leslie taken care of, and not in the nice way that, you take her out to dinner, or you get married, have 6 kids, and a white picket fence, the other kind, Matt betrays his bro and saves his old college flame, then ends up in prison. I mean, to be a Thorne is not really a good thing, You never really get the good side of anything. Okay, so Rupert actually disappears for quite a while. He makes some cameo appearances in The Adventures of Batman and Robin, or season 3 of BTAS, and just so you all know, the reason the show was retitled that was to hype up the Batman Forever movie coming out with Robin. Also, the studio said, you need to make a bunch of episodes featuring Robin to hype up the movie. So they're like, okay, we're gonna do that. And that is the history behind that, but we're moving on. In the episode, Rupert tries to kill Robin in Second Chance, because Robin asks him, why did you kidnap Harvey from the ER? And Thorne's like, dude, that's not very classy. I don't do that kind of stuff. While he's, scarfing ice cream or something. He would ice Two-Face, doing it again. There's so many things you could do with Two-Face, because he has 2 faces. Still, he plans on showing Robin what he would do to Harvey if he was actually in front of him. And he tells the boys to take Robin for a swim. So when a mob boss tells you to take a swim, it's not really a recreational thing, so just beware of that if you ever run into any mob bosses. Of course, Robin gets away and totally pwns the bad guys, and it's all good. But he's no closer to finding where Two-Face is, and I'm not gonna spoil the episode for you, but I'm just talking about Rupert's cameo, and that was it. As for other appearances in the BTS universe, he appears in the episode titled Bane, where he hires Bane to kill Batman, similar to what he did in the comics where he hired Deadshot to kill Batman. Although it wasn't over Batman's secret identity, he just wants Batman gone because Batman and Robin are driving him batty, he's Batman's just leaning way too hard on Thorne and not the other mob bosses. So it's not fair to Rupert. He's like, I need to bring in some muscle to take down the Batman because I can't really do my job. And I need this to keep eating. Okay, I need to stop that. I'm sorry. I don't know where I'm going with this, okay? You never know where I'm going with this. Okay, now, the reason Bane was probably brought into the animated series was because Bruce Timm wanted to show people how Batman really would deal with Gotham's Bane. As a kid, I really loved the scene where Batman defeated Bane. Unlike in the comics, which was kind of shocking and really affected me, honestly. Seeing Batman broken and thrown off a building, utterly defeated and broken, it was disturbing. And it was like, that's Batman! But no, Batman was on TV every day at 4 on Fox Kids, not lying there in a heap of his own blood. Ugh, that's just, wow. Man, that image, that will never go away, will it? That will never go away for you, so ha! Let's see, where was I? Oh, I know. For some reason or another, Rupert Thorne did not appear in the Batman Superman adventures. Nobody really knows why. The character did return in that style of animation in the direct-to-video movie. I think it was called Mystery of Batwoman or Batwoman Mystery of... I don't really remember which one, but it was a direct-to movie. It was okay. And it was the last one featuring the entire Batman animated series cast. Even Tara Strong is in it, like, briefly. And I believe she played one of the other characters. Kelly Ripa's in the movie, too, which is interesting if you like that type of stuff. In the movie, Thorne is just a regular Gotham mob boss who's actually working in tandem with the Penguin, something that never happened on screen in the animated series because the mob bosses were too classy to hang out with the costume freaks. So, yeah, this movie just goes all over the place. And that's something that really bugged me about this film, aside from Thorne's appearance. He also works with Bane again, yet it's like they're meeting for the first time because they don't even know each other. So all that stuff that happened in the Batman episode Bane never happened in this continuity, which makes me believe that this series is like an offshoot or another universe or another Earth of Batman the Animated Series, because it has some consistency, but also some things that go way off. And they kind of play with this in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, but yeah. Anyway, at the end, what's his name? Thorne goes to Blackgate for good, and we never see him again. Never see him in Justice League, never see him in anything. He's just gone. As for other Bat media, Thorne was set to be the mob boss in Burton's Batman film, which I'm sure none of you know this, but due to a script rewrite, which excluded the Joker killing Dick Grayson's parents, Thorne was replaced with Carl Grissom, who was a mob boss that actually appeared in the 1940s Bat books, but it was killed. So, you know, he wasn't really that well known, you know? It's just like, anyway. So Burton, when he was actually looking for people to put in his comic book movie, he didn't want people that were too comic booky and well known. But in the original script, Thorne actually hires Joe Chill to kill Thomas Wayne, who's running against Rupert for city council. Because remember, in the comics, that's what Rupert Thorne was. He was a corrupt politician, not an awesome mob boss. So, of course, that never happened, and Batman's origin is not shown until Batman Begins with Chris Nolan. So, we got the movie where Batman is just Batman. And actually, I prefer that a lot better. Because Batman, you don't really need to know about him. He's this dude who likes to dress up as a giant bat and scare people. You know, that's pretty well enough right there. You don't really need to dive into his origin every, 20 years. If people want to know who Batman is, watch the animated series. It'd be better. Let's see. How else do I want to go with this? Rupert Thorne, what else did he do? I think he was in the 2000 show, The Batman, except he went to jail, so I don't really remember him. I know that he kind of dressed in Hawaiian shirts, because everybody, apparently, who was a mob boss had to wear Hawaiian shirts and look kind of hip, not all, like, you know, cool mafia, like the animated series. It was a complete opposite. It was like Vice City or something, you know? I think he mostly did cameos in the series, though. I saw the whole show, like, once. I have never really rewatched it, so I'm not 100% on this. But I'm pretty sure he had a couple blink and you'll miss him type moments in the series. So, there you go. And some connection to Tony Zuko, which is odd. Like, they're related or something. In the episode of Matter of Family, which is one of the only really good episodes of The Batman. The rest of it is just kind of, eh. And as we close, the reason the character hasn't appeared in the Arkhamverse is sadly due to the passing of the original actor, John Vernon, who was amazing as the bad guy and really brought Rupert to life. So maybe it's out of respect for the character or the actor that Rupert Thorne has not really appeared other than in name only in the Arkhamverse. I don't really know if he's going to appear in Arkham Knight or anything like that, but that's where I'm going at this point. I think that all we can expect from Rupert Thorne's existence is in name only, like maybe some thug will say something or he'll appear on a poster or something like that. He hasn't really appeared in the comics either, which is probably out of respect for the actor. And that's it, that's all, ladies and gentlemen. Thus ends another Arkham Wednesday. If you have a character you'd like to hear about next week, head to my Twitter with the hashtag Arkham Wednesdays and let me know who you want to hear about next week. YouTube's comment system doesn't work too well anymore, and I'll be using Twitter from now on because I don't like having headaches. Thanks for watching another Arkham Wednesdays, and I'll see you next week. Same bat time, same, well, you know where I'm going with the rest. God bless and happy gaming. Peace. I'm out.
Well, that's the end of this video. Who's up for Chinese? Seriously though, make sure to like, favorite, and share this delicious video. Unless, of course, you like being wrapped in plastic and left in the gutter. Oops, sorry, a force of habit.